in the CC manual, speech number 4, how to say it. This will be a 5 or 7-minute presentation. And the objectives of this speech are to select the right words and sentence structure to communicate your ideas clearly and accurately, use rhetorical devices to enhance and emphasize your ideas, and eliminate jargon and unnecessary words, and use correct grammar. Our first speaker is pleased to put becoming an SEC Rough Rider on her list of accomplishments for 2012. It is one part of what has been a year to remember. Today, she is going to share with you her love for the color red, fabulous shoes, and tall men who can dance. What do these things have in common? Let's find out. With a speech entitled, A Clear Case of Seduction. Please help me welcome Pascal Capital.
Tango, a dance of seduction. Born in the brothels of Buenos Aires, elevated to the salons of Paris. It's the craziest thing I've ever experienced. That reminds me of having sex, fully clothed, standing up, with fabulous shoes on. Mr. Birthday Boy. Esteemed members. Welcome. Ballet was my first love. Even though I looked nothing like any of the prima ballerinas I admired, I knew that one day I would be dancing on the grandest stages. With Mikhail Baryshnikov, of course. Dance ignited in me a fire that I felt in no other part of my life. It reminded me what it felt like to be alive. My dreams were dashed, not for lack of trying, but by a clear decree from my family that professional dance was in no way a suitable profession for a young lady. I conceded, for better or worse, and I began to pursue a more appropriate line of study, and I danced on the side. It all went well for a while until I got kicked out of my doctoral program because I was too busy performing to show up for my thesis defense. It was a wake-up call. I realized that I could no longer straddle the two worlds. I had to pick one, and I did. And then life did what life does, and everything got busy. Building a career, starting a family, becoming a serious adult. The dancing stopped, and the fire. One night, less than a year ago, I was awoken out of a deep sleep by a piercing thought: study tango. I had no idea where this came from. I had never had any interest or experience in the ballroom or the partner dances. I didn't even really have a fondness for Latin culture or music. It was completely out of the blue, and yet absolutely unmistakable. I got out of bed, sat myself in front of the computer, consulted the great and mighty Google. Less than 48 hours later, I was stepping into the studio where I would take my very first tango lesson. It was clear from the very beginning that I had no idea what I was doing. I was wearing the wrong shoes, the wrong clothes. I was ready for a workout, whereas all the other women in the room looked like they had just stepped out of a pageant. There were a lot of them, women, that is, and very few men. Antonio Banderas, nowhere to be found. It was not a great start, but I stayed. And I stumbled, and I fumbled, and I slipped, and I tripped around that dance floor as if I had not 2, but 4 left feet. It was disastrous. But undaunted, I returned back for my second class with the right shoes and the right clothes and a sweep of red lipstick for moral support. At least when I was standing perfectly still, I would look the part. But as soon as I got out on that dance floor, oh, awful. Tango was kicking my butt. You see, tango is an extraordinarily subtle and intricate dance that relies on the smallest shifts in body weight and body position. It requires that the woman be twice as strong and yet completely submissive to the man. How do you like that? It demands absolute focus with a dash of sizzle. The learning curve is daunting. The only thing I could do was to keep showing up, which I did. And then one class, I was dancing with my favorite partner, a tall, silver-haired man who held me like he meant it. I closed my eyes and I felt a spark. I felt an ignition. I felt the fire come back. I swirled and twirled and glided along that dance floor as if I had been born to do this. It was intoxicating. It was euphoric. It was very, very seductive. Never as a young ballerina would I have dreamed that tango would be the thing that lit my fire once again, that brought me back. See, I had believed that as we grow older, everything just gets a little bit duller. Passions fade, desires get reasoned away, and the world becomes something we know instead of something we discover. I'm so glad that I stopped believing that. And I started realizing that seduction actually gets much better with age. Now when I dance, I'm back in those forbidden rooms where smoke and desire and music fill the air. It's so hot you can hardly breathe, but it's just hot enough that you remember what it feels like to be really alive. Shall we dance?
Thank you, Ms. Kavanagh. If you could take a moment, folks, and make a few comments.